Yo, what's going on, yo? I'm JBHOOPS, and today I'm going to be handing out my 2025 mid-season awards. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and check out my recent draft Big Board 1.0. But right now, we're about halfway through the season, maybe a bit over when you see this video. But anyway, let's just get right into the awards, starting it off with the 6th Man of the Year. Russell Westbrook and Scottie Pippen Jr. have both been very impressive off the bench this season, but the main two threats to my 6th Man of the Year are Amen Thompson and Santi Aldama. Both of these guys have started some games, and Amen might be out of the running if he retains his starting spot when the Rockets are fully healthy, but as of now he would qualify and he's been unbelievably impactful. He should be a lock for all defense, the offense has developed a lot, he's awesome in transition and in the dunker spot, and he's improved in the pick and roll and in the in-between area. And the other honourable mention being Santi Aldama, who's had an incredible year for the Grizzlies. He's pretty much averaging 13, 7 and 3, playing really solid defense and shooting the ball well. But that's enough of the honourable mentions, let's get on to my 6th Man of the Year, that being Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard has been ridiculously potent offensively off the bench for the Celtics, averaging 14.6 points per game on 64.4% true shooting in under 28 minutes a night. He's top 30 or higher in the league in multiple advanced metrics such as LeBron, BPM, EPM, win shares, and more. And he's been able to impact night in and night out, and especially when the Celtics starters are struggling offensively. He's in the 100th percentile or best in the league as both a pick and roll ball handler and shooting off screens, which is insane. He's also effective in isolation, is shooting a blistering hot 46% on catch and shoot threes. Pritchard makes good reads, rarely turns it over, and is a spark plug off the bench. And he's a guy who, to be honest, could likely even sustain more responsibility. That's just how good he is. So Peyton Pritchard is my 6th Man of the Year. Next up, we have the Rookie of the Year award. Alex Sarr, Stephon Castle, Yves Missy, and obviously Jared McCain have all had some good performances. But with McCain out of the running with his injury and the younger rooks not impacting a ton or putting up numbers, my honourable mentions go to Zach Edey, who has had moments of dominance and been a solid rotation guy for the Grizzlies, and also a massive shout out to Kel'el Ware. He's been awesome for the Heat in his limited minutes, and he's found himself in their real rotation and has been very productive, including some recent outbursts of like 25 plus points. He's also playing really good defense and shooting it well, and if he can sustain this, he could be a real Rookie of the Year contender. But for now, I have Jalen Wells as my Rookie of the Year frontrunner. Now, this rookie class hasn't been great so far, so not a lot of guys are making a positive impact. But Jalen Wells sticks out as a guy who has been asked to perform in a starting role for the contending Grizzlies as a 2nd round pick, and has stepped up to the challenge and thrived doing so. He's averaging 11.8 points per game on league average efficiency. He's fit in perfectly for the Grizzlies, acting as a play finisher and catch and shoot threat, while on the other end taking on tough defensive assignments and holding his own for the most part. So I have Jalen Wells as my current Rookie of the Year, but Kel'el Ware and Zach Edey are definitely in with a chance. Now on to the Most Improved Player award. I don't know if it's really in the spirit of the award since he's already been an All-NBA level player who has just had some down seasons, but Cat has been awesome this year after falling off a bit in his last 2 seasons in Minnesota. Same thing with Darius Garland, who was booty cheeks last year with his broken jaw. But this season he's been arguably the Cavs' best player. But the 2 real honourable mentions go to Evan Mobley, who I believe should be an All-NBA player this season, as well as Santi Aldama, who has improved tremendously across the board. But my most improved player halfway through the season is Norman Powell. Norman Powell has taken a massive leap in his age 31 season, jumping up almost 10 points per game from 13.9 to 23.6 on the best efficiency of his career. The Clippers offense is 10.6 points per 100 possessions better with Powell on the floor. He's been uber efficient and a key factor in the Clippers' success without Kawhi, with most people expecting the Clippers to be fighting for a play-in spot, but as of now they are the 5 seed and could push even higher now that Kawhi is back. Norm has been passable defensively, which has been a real issue throughout parts of his career. And with his high-level offensive production, he has a legitimate all-star case, which would shock anyone prior to this season. So I have no doubt in my mind that Norman Powell should win the Most Improved Player award. Next, we're moving on to the Defensive Player of the Year. The Depoy is probably the only blatantly obvious award where everyone just knows it's going to Wemby. But before we dive into the Aliens D, honourable mentions go to Evan Mobley, who is one of the most versatile anchor bigs in basketball. as well as Amen Thompson, who is straight up the most versatile defender in basketball, taking primary point of attack matchups and dominating as a help defender. But now let's talk about Victor Wembanyama's game-breaking defensive impact. Wemby is the best defensive playmaker in basketball and one of the greatest we've ever seen. He's leading the league in blocks, averaging 4.1 along with over a steal a game. At this point, opponents don't even try him. He's amongst the league leaders in every single rim protection and defensive metric. Wemby is currently top 5 in D LeBron and D EPM. The Spurs defense is also 8.1 points better with Wemby on versus when he's off. And that's the difference between a great defense and one that sits at the bottom of the league. He's great at forcing players into shots they're uncomfortable with as they try and navigate ways to nullify his influence, go into floaters and low percentage pull-ups as well as fancy layups. And Wemby is also a special type of defensive anchor who not only racks up blocks but also doesn't foul, which is very rare. His ground coverage is ridiculous, his instincts, timing and length is special, and he is just a joy to watch defensively. And his offense is obviously awesome as well. He definitely still has his issues, his positioning isn't great, he can be a bit messy with his technique, and over-rely on his all-time great recovery ability, but in my opinion, Wemby is already one of the best defenders of all time, and he could go on to win an absurd amount of depoys, and this season is tracking to be his first. I'm going to do the clutch player of the year after this one because it's kind of new, but right now I'm going to do the main award, the MVP, and let's get into it. The MVP is clearly a two-horse race right now between Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic, with Tatum, Giannis, and all the other elite stars a fair way behind. Jokic definitely has an incredible case, with him elevating his scoring whilst maintaining all other aspects of his game. But what Shai has been able to achieve with the injuries to his important teammates like Chet missing over 30 games and counting, Hartenstein missing 17 games to start the year, Caruso being out for over a month, all that and still being able to carry the Thunder to the number 1 seed in the West, while managing to win over 85% of the games he plays in. Through 41 games, he's averaging 31.5 points per game, as well as over 5 rebounds and 6 assists and 3 stocks a game, with a super efficient 64.4% true shooting. The OKC Thunder are a team that lack very heavily in consistent offensive creation, and that's evident when Shai is off the floor. The Thunder have a 17.5 net rating when Shai is on and a negative 0.4 when he's sitting. He has the best defensive rating in the league and makes the Thunder's extremely defensive slanted lineups viable with his all-time great level of creation and shot-making ability. He's leading the league in EPM, LeBron, and win shares, and touching box plus minus and win share per 48 numbers only seen by some of the GOATs. SGA has a real shot of being all defense as well with his defensive playmaking and lockdown capabilities in important moments. His passing is also leveled up and he's got one of the deepest bags of all time. Shai is dominating from everywhere on the floor against any defense in almost every play type, where he ranks in the 92nd percentile or higher in isolation as a pick and roll ball handler, in spot ups and off handoffs. Shai is just ridiculously efficient, impactful and dominant, and the season he's having stacks up very well against some of the greatest individual years ever, and that's not even an exaggeration. Both him and Jokic are having awesome seasons, but with his current level of success, impact, efficiency, and most importantly aura, you just have to have Shai as the MVP right now. Now finally, we've got the newest award, the Clutch Player of the Year. This is a tough award to hand out because it'll likely just go to someone with some memorable moments or game winners. So Jokic, LeBron, Ant, Shai, Steph and others will all be in with a chance. But someone I've been super impressed with all year and has killed teams in the clutch is Darius Garland. Jokic is probably the favourite and top competitor to him, and I expect he'll win the award, especially if he doesn't get the MVP. But Garland has been dominating down the stretch of games. He's had an awesome season in general for the number 1 seed in the East, but Darius Garland has turned it up closing teams out with a ridiculous 50.6 net rating to win 15 of 17 clutch games. And in those minutes, DG holds an outstanding 10-to-1 assist to turnover ratio and a 78.8% true shooting, while scoring over a point a minute. So while some of the usual clutch stars have been awesome and are definitely in consideration for the award, in my opinion, Darius Garland has been the best clutch performer so far this season, and he plays a massive part in the Cavs' dominance. Alright, so that is all I've got for this one. Let me know what you think down below and let me know your awards. Make sure to check out my recent videos. My Big Board 1.0 just dropped, so check that out for sure. I make NBA and draft related content, so if you enjoy that, make sure to subscribe. I appreciate all the support. And anyway, that's all I got. JBHOOPS out.